All I could think of is pips.
All right, we're back. We're back. It's The Edge, episode 3. It's me and Rob together again. What's up, Rob?
Whoa.
All right, so well, happy 420 first off, everyone. Like, you can't forget that. I feel like that's a momentous occasion.
That's right,
at least for me. Right. So,
it's also National Record Store Day, so that was
beautiful. All right, I think Hitler's birthday as well. I'm almost sure of it. So, anyways, all right. So, back to what we were talking about, man. Like, so we were just talking.
It is Hitler's birthday, 1989. Oh my God!
It is, right?
I'm not going to judge you for having that on your calendar.
You knew it? You just looked it up?
I just looked it up. It really is. I had no idea.
I know, it's crazy. Like, synchronicity, whatever. It's insane. So, yeah, with that being said, where were we going with this? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Listen, Jag, by the way, this is for you, Jag. I know you see this beanie, son. Listen, I know you see this. All right. So I got something for you. Like, you wanted to, you talked about how certain things happen. You would rock this beanie. So I've got something I think in store for us here that I think you're going to be interested in. And so I wore this specifically so you can see the style that you're going to be buying. Okay. So just so you know, also, I've worn one of these forever. So this is me at Madison Trading House. I don't know how many years ago, but I looked this picture up.
That's like last week, I think. Yeah.
I actually had beautiful long hair. This is what the trading game does to you. It's fucking that
you lost a bet and had to cut your hair.
From beautiful to cancer patient. So,
you're watching too much Caillou.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, my son calls me a xenomorph, which is, for those of you who don't know, that's the alien from Alien versus Predator. So, anyways, we won't get into that. But so definitely looking at a little something here. Dude, the market's been crazy, right? So, I had this, this whole thesis that we were going to come down, we're going to get super long right here, and I had every reason to. And from a charting perspective, but actually Friday kind of flipped it for me. I am now looking the other way, and we'll explain why. But Rob, we were looking at Netflix, and again, I got caught with my pants down on that one on Friday. All I saw was they beat revenues by 16%, and then I assume they went up, but apparently I was told that's
evidently revenue growth and subscriber growth isn't enough to send the stock forward. So Netflix came forward and said they're going to have some changes in the way they're going to be reporting, and so they're no longer going to be reporting their subscriber numbers. And so that had a lot of analysts and people owning the stock super nervous about what that meant to the future growth of the stock, sort of like signaling that, hey, this business model is becoming more mature, and so subscriber growth isn't a great metric, is what they're thinking or what they're saying. And so they're trying to phase out of projecting their subscriber growth numbers and subscriber numbers in general, just reporting.
That's interesting though, because how do you project a company's potential revenue
without having their subscribers? Yeah. That's especially on that one, where subscriber
how does Wall Street do their number? I don't get it.
So I was really surprised that they went forward with that. Actually,
it's a pretty cocky statement, actually. If you think about it, they're kind of like, it's a little bit of a flex, in my opinion. They're like, listen, we don't need to tell you what we're doing over here. Just know that we're making money, right?
It's a big change. It's a huge change. So I could see why they did that, and then that was followed up with some AI news with Microstar, other like chip manufacturers not doing so well, and that sort of really started to push things down.
I didn't realize that. Please inform me a little bit. Is that just the hype is over, or a sense
No, they were reporting a lower. Let me get the exact thing for you.
These AI chips cost a fortune. They're 40,000 a piece, and these companies buy thousands of them at a time. It's unfathomable to me, honestly. But I know they're supposedly creating the next best thing since sliced bread. But I was on fucking Chat GPT the other day, and I wasn't using 4; I was using 3.5. the free version, but I asked it to do some simple math for me, and it can't do it. Like it just can't do it. And I don't know how many times I told it was wrong. It would just keep respitting out different wrong answers. And so, we'll see. It's still got some time on that.
Yeah, so the news that came out on Friday was AI chip maker NVIDIA saw shares dive on Friday after key hardware partner Supermicro Computer, which is
Oh, that's
another Taiwanese,
SMCI. Yeah, that's that one.
SMCI. So that's the one that started.
Yep.
It announced its next earnings date without giving preliminary results. So if you're not going to give preliminary results, the thinking is, well, then they're probably pretty bad, and that knocked it down.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that was where they're coming from with that.
I probably just, I could try to pull it up if it was on Twitter. It doesn't matter. But I saw some guy on Reddit or whatever. He put $800 into short dated out of the money NVIDIA puts, and he turned it into, I think it was 250 grand or something yesterday on Friday. Yeah. So we talk about these 0DTEs all the time, don't we? Like this is crazy.
It's crazy. I'm actually mad that I haven't been playing around more in that space, to be honest.
$800 to 250 grand, like what?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Let me see. Actually, yeah, it was pretty impressive. It's actually kind of trending right now because I mean, whenever these are like lottery tickets, they really are if you think about it. Like you and I have looked at them multiple times, but we talked about $75 to $2,500 and that, but dude, 800 to 250 grand.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it out. Let me see. But it's regardless.
I can't imagine being the market maker on the other side of that. Like,
dude, somebody got caught holding the bag.
Someone found the exit early that day.
I mean, I know these guys hedge their position, like the market makers, they take the spread. But I mean, somebody, another person could have easily just said, "Yeah, I'll sell some puts, I'll own the stock, whatever," right? And then he just now he owns the stock way up here, So
exactly.
Well, Jim Cramer says, "Own it, don't trade it." So that's probably the first cue that's not good.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's a character for sure. So we were talking about, so we were going to talk about this trade, and the first thing that you said was, "Well, how far down are we?" It's like, it's a great question, right? So what's better for these people? There we go. This is fine. All right, so we're really not down that far, dude. Like 6%. Like that's it. And you and I were talking earlier that we think we can come down to this 4,800 area, 47.75 via SPX, which is, I think it's about 4,800 ES. So anyways, we were but really when you think about it, I mean, you pull this down here, it's only a 9.3% correction, right? Less than 10%. That's really, dude, I mean, that's not that far.
I would consider that healthy. And if you look, we've just been taking the stairs all the way up. We're due for a really good pullback.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 green weeks on this push up. So,
yeah.
I mean, listen, we were, when I turned it on, we were laughing because we're like, it's not down that far. And you're like, unless you're long, right?
Unless you got long up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
feels crazy.
It feels like out of nowhere.
Yeah, for sure. So, we've had some really interesting things go on. And, I'm going to show everybody on ES too, but this was pretty much my weekly support right here. And, we played a weekly level at the highs right here. I'll go ahead and just get rid of this. And let me pull this over to a daily time frame. Actually, I like this. This is clear. So we played a nice weekly level up here at 52.54, and we came down. And our first spot that we aimed for was this 51.26, and we actually got a pretty nice reaction off of this. Popped like 50 or 60 points. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was more. Actually, it was more. It popped 60 points. That's what it popped. And so, anyways, they didn't hold, and so we're like, okay, cool. Like, as soon as it didn't hold, the next target was obviously the 5K range, which, as you know, I even put a tweet out there. I was super bullish. I'm like, this, this holds, we go to all-time highs. Because this was pretty much for me, like, this was the next huge high time frame support. And Friday's close was nasty. Like, I mean, they needed to close above 5K, essentially, on ES. I'm sorry, on SPX, and really above 50, 50, and 50 on ES. and I'll show you all that stuff here shortly. But this close right here pretty much skewed my bias now to the downside. This was my last like intermediate spot. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Like it definitely does. And I could still see a pullback going up a little bit again, but I
Yeah,
still think we're long term. I think we're headed down to that 47.78 because we had the close below
yeah,
5,000.
absolutely. So that's something that you and I, look for is, we know where our supports are. If we close below it, I mean, we're pretty much, our next target is under this wick essentially. But why stop there, right? Because there's nothing here. I mean,
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no great support there because the run up was essentially unsupported. Like just kind of like
yeah, no, there's no question. We talked about like if this thing wants to start coming down, there's just nothing here, right? So, and that's kind of in the land of where we're at now. And so, you and I were, I want to make sure people can see this. And let me just go to a monthly chart real fast. This is huge support over here from the highs from 2022. So this is a big monthly over here, big monthly support for me. And then you've got this weekly level here, this top down. So we've kind of got this zone on SPX, which is the exact same spot we're going to look at for ES, 47.69, 47.78. I mean, this is just, it's really solid. So now I'm going to kind of break this down. And Jack, this is where you get your beanie on, son. You listening to me? All right, because this is where it gets real. Okay. So, and everybody, I just want to kind of throw this out there. Me and Rob didn't talk about this. Rob has not drawn today. He's not recharted.
yeah.
I told him I'd rather do this kind of like live and show him at the same time, just so that I could, get his legitimate, honest opinion on this and what he thought. So it's kind of fun to do this for the first time together, and doing it with you guys too. So here's here's my daily chart, and for those of you guys who understand my color code, purples are untested weeklies, pinks are untested dailies. And these red lines here are significant dailies that are tested, but we use these to understand momentum and where we're at above and below these. Okay, so for instance, if you got above 26, you would assume you'd come to 78, and above 78 takes you to 11. So that's just how we use that in terms of progression and structure. Okay, so here's essentially what we've been looking at here, and Rob, you even made the comment when I just had the chart pulled up. You're like, well, it really could pop again and smack. Well, we've got two great spots for that, right? So there's 05, 57, and 49.97. And this is SPX. When we go into ES, you're going to see it there too. It's going to be blatantly obvious once I show them to you, okay? So for this trade, honestly, I mean, the invalidation on this trade, if you want to be like uber safe, could be above 26, but it's shorter than that. Okay, so here's we're just talking about the major resistance areas. This is the leg to the high up here. Okay, we've got this big untested weekly up here that we talked about how we popped and got 60 points off of it. Well, now they failed. So now that we've got below this is a great spot here at 11. And this, to me, I don't even know if this is going to get tested right now. I'll just be frank. For me, what I'm really looking at is this 05 and then this daily here at 97, okay? Because I don't have anything else that's untested above, and it really lines up with a nice ES structure that I have. So, my whole thesis was, originally, like I said, when we got below this area, I said, oh, we're going to come down here to 5K, and they're going to hold this leg, and they're going to go. But as you know, we had that ugly-ass close on that weekly, and the higher time frame rules for me. So I honestly think that we can hit this 05 and really start to come down, Rob.
Yeah.
I think this is like for real. This could be the next 200 points, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and just take it into the 4 hour real quick. And it's going to be a little bit more granular, but I wanted to show you the one area of support I had down here, right? And it's only a 4 hour. I don't even really care about it. I'll be frank, because if we're coming off of this,
you're coming off of monthly levels, and
what's up?
You're coming off of monthly and daily levels.
Yeah, exactly. Or weekly, daily. Yeah. So the first target down here is 24, right? So 97, 24. So the first target is 75 points. And honestly, you could probably take it farther. This is tested, but as you can see, we played it twice. So it's really important if we stay above or below this. I would probably have to take money here just because, right? If I got 70 points, 75 points, and I'm taking $1 off the table at this point. Okay. So, and then really the next spot is 48.81. And I don't love it. And when I show you on ES, there is nothing down here.
There's nothing down there.
Yeah, and so I think that this thing's going to get smoked. I honestly think that we're going to come all the way down here. Now, how they play it, I don't know, right? Whatever. But this is what I honestly believe. And if this trade, this 5K trade that we talked about, I told you the risk to reward on this is great. The trade's invalidated above 26, right? So you have a 20-point risk, for essentially 225-point potential move, right? So it's a 10-1. I love this trade. This
Yeah.
trade might take a couple days. You know what I mean? It may not happen, and it definitely won't happen in one day.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
haven't over 100 points yet. So I would say, could take to the end of the week, could take 2 days, could take 3 days. I don't know, but this is honestly what I see happening. And then this area down here, the 78, and we know that's solid, right? We just talked about that. Like this is, we've even got
that's a very strong level.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. So previous all-time high support that we gained. I mean, it's just
basically we just retrace everything back to January and start over again. It's like starting the year over.
Yeah, it's funny. I was telling, I was talking with my girl today about it. I'm like, it's funny how we basically wiped out, 4 or 5 months worth of shit in 3 weeks, but it took us that long to get up here, right? Stairs up, elevator down type situation. But yeah, it's just interesting how the markets work. That's why the shorts are, they pay so good. The options pay so ridiculous. But so here's just a daily view of it, Rob. And, you can see this area in here. I mean, look how many times we've touched here, right? So I'm confident that, this is a great spot. And if we can play this, you can see this is tested. You can see this is tested. There's not a damn thing in here, right? And so this is where I would be looking for down here. And I think, actually, we're still going to talk ES. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. All right, you got anything you want to say about this before I move?
So I will say, whenever we do go back up again, I think that high looks like it doesn't have a lot of excess on it. So I do think that high will be, when we do get up there, it's definitely going to punch through.
For sure. And
there's no reason to let off the gas once you start getting above, say, 51.11.
And to be quite frank, if they test this and then we fall and this holds, the only untested support we would have right here would be 51.11. Yeah. And so really that's your target, right? Which is great because that's another 400 points to the upside. And again, I'm not saying you're going to catch the whole thing, but at least you would have an idea if you could catch the progression. Like, let's say we end up catching it in here somewhere, whatever. We know that this is where we're headed as long as they test this, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how I'm thinking about it. And then again, if we hold this though, I don't think this stops us, right? This might just play the little pullback and go because I
think it slows you down for a day.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So that's what's up. Anything else before I go to ES? You like this? You got any comments? You got anything you want to add? I mean, it looks.
No, I thought this whole move up didn't feel like it was really well supported. So it doesn't surprise me that we're slicing through it in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we've really just been, the thing was you can kind of see in this progression they back tested almost everything on the way up, right? So as we've started to walk up here, I mean, it was kind of setting up for a dump. So, here's what I was going to say. So the 5K area on ES, the 50-15, this is why I was kind of still looking at this area for SPX because we had this gap right here, right? So, when I saw this and then I saw this area in here, I'm like, this is beautiful, untested support.
I mean, you did get a good pop off of it for sure.
Yeah, here. Yeah, for sure. I agree. So I just was hoping that if they were, I mean, we know the 505 played, did its thing for a day. But I was just really hoping that this area held and took us up and then we could smack. But, again, I'm willing to admit that, that close clearly changed everything for me. And I think we have a nice little short on our hands. Even with small size, I think you can make some really nice money. I mean, if you could hold 5 micros for 100 points, it's $2,500, I mean, I'm sorry, 5 micro. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's nice, when I show you ES, the risk gets even smaller. So let's just go ahead and take a look at that actually. So I'm going to start with this weekly chart. All right, let me pull this over. So this is why I was so bullish right here, guys. I'm so sorry. All right, so we played this weekly level up here, this '06, I think it was, and we came down. So for me, this was, the way I trade, I had this weekly leg here, right? And I think actually 43 played pretty good, or it was 47, whatever. It was close. It played for a little bit, but it didn't play for near what I thought it would, because I really thought 15 was the spot. But for me, I had to have a close above it at the end of the week. Otherwise, my target's down here, right? And the thing is when I look at this, I'm saying, okay, if they back test this weekly, then again, now I'm kind of like in a weekly down move, right? And I don't have anything. There's like a little something in here, and I'm showing you guys this because I want you to see when we go to a different chart. But I don't love it. I don't think it holds. There's nothing there. So this is actually the 4 hour on SPX, Rob.
Okay.
All right.
That
So
makes sense. That's why they.
yeah, so I have it on there because it's like, yeah, but this is an intra-tested weekly, right? You see it was lower, but you see where it started. So I'm not like, I know there's something there. I'm gonna look when we get there, but I'm gonna use it as an above below type situation, right? So also another thing I wanted to point out to everybody is by the time we get up here, this 200-day moving average is slowly walking its way up. So this is going to be a big one. They're going to defend this 200-day. So I how it works supposedly with trend, right? Like people look to buy above the 200-day moving average, right? So, for me, that like if it takes us another week or two to get down here, which I don't, whatever, this moving average should be about right in our key area here. So,
well, if we had another week like last week, we'll be there in 5 days.
Yeah, you're right. And I think it's possible. I really do.
With earnings coming out this week, and we've got some big ones on Thursday. We can talk about later. Those are things to watch out for.
For sure. Let's definitely go over that. So I'm going to pull up my daily chart, and I may not go any crazier than this, but I wanted to show this trade that I'm looking at for real, and kind of the targets that I'm after. And I know this chart might seem a little complicated for some, and for guys in the room probably not so much, but it's actually extremely clear when I explain it to you. Okay, so between 43 and 47, I have this weekly, daily, this zone right here. This is the trade I'm after right here. Okay, so 43, essentially, you would give yourself a point or two grace, but let's say you got in at 42, your stop's above 58. Okay, so you're talking what, Rob? 16 points? Is that right? Okay, so like I told you, this is
points.
So this I would stop out. Let's just say above that. I would probably I'd go down to a smaller time frame. Actually, here it is on the 1 hour. And the way I would do it is I would stop above this wick here, the second pivot to the left.
And that lines up with the 5,005 in the SPX.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yes. So this is kind of, so you talking about for the area to get short?
Yes.
Yeah, we're roughly 40 points different right now. Okay, so 43 minus 40 points, right? So, we're right in there. So
we're right there.
Yep. So I really like this spot. The invalidation is easy. And then if you look at this, this is a tested dailies area right here, these gray. So these are important to be above or below, but they are tested, right? And then this is my 40-14. Above this area, I start to get concerned, but then or not concerned. Well, this area I would be looking for up here, to play this leg in. This is that same weekly spot on SPX I was showing you that I was like, I could come here, and it would stop it for a day, this area.
Yep.
See it?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's this right here, and it's definitely untested. I love it, 84. But I have this little no trade zone right here, which is still rollover price action that I don't like. So again, now let's talk about to the downside here. All right, so as long as they don't invalidate us and they play this, we know this is tested. I need to change the color, but it won't be from the backside. And then this is that weekly I said to watch that I'm like, don't love it. But you can clearly see there's something in here. There's a daily that was tested right there. So this to me is really a great target. This is probably going to be my first target on this short. Okay, so I'm going to look for 49.25-ish as my first target. Okay, so that's what is that? 125 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, 125 points, right? And then underneath this this is why I said I'm going to use this as an above below. We come to your 48, 33, 13 area that you like so much. I think that's where we're coming because there's nothing here, right? So, I mean, there is static support. There's static support. Now, here's kind of the only way that this trade can get invalidated, in my opinion. Now, I mean, it's going to be the same thing, but I'll show you the price action that I think could happen, but I'm betting that it doesn't. And the reason that I say that is because not only did the daily and the weekly not gain, we lost at the bottom on the 4 hour. So, we actually have even more downside momentum. The 4 hour closed below the 4 hour level. Dude, we're so heavy, right? So here is these weeklies and this dailies right here, there's two zones. There's a 4 hour untested level at the top. Okay. So you got a daily, quasi looking ugly weekly, whatever. And then you've got a 4 hour. And again, if you wanted to really play it even tighter than that, here's your stop. It's actually 10 points. But I was trying to give myself a little grace, right? Because we would see how it goes. I hate to stop out right above the high because, then how that game's played. So,
not that it's ever happened to you before.
Dude, I'm a fucking wizard at getting top ticked. It's ridiculous. Right. So yeah, it's terrible. I don't know. I told you I should stop stopping there and add. I should add there and then stop 3 points higher or something. I don't know. So the price action that I think they could actually invalidate this, and I or not invalidate, but that could happen that I would be looking for. So this was the 4 hour that we closed below. Is pretty obvious. Now, Rob, when you go even lower, I do think this is a potential trade setup. This low is intra-tested, whatever, but it's still. I bet this plays. I bet you does. I bet you they're going to hold down here. So this 1 hour could be a really nice trade down to here. And I thought about taking it maybe with just because it's going to be the middle of the night, 5 micros. From here to here is $600 on 3 micros. So, it's a nice move. It's 40 points. Yeah, it's 40 points. And then I might carry 2 micros up. But if I don't, if it just continues to go, at least I'm in it for a little something. I know that sounds silly, like 2 micros, but it's the middle of the night. I don't want to stay up and monitor this bullshit, right? So I'd rather have something than nothing. But this is the this daily 4 hour spot up here.
Yeah.
And this was a really sweet short. As you know, I was long from the lows, and I kept saying if we get under 43, this thing's got some issues. But did you see they played yesterday's POC? I mean, it was fucking.
It was perfect. What was also strange is so much of the move was overnight. So if you looked at your RTH chart, it looked like
nothing
price action if it skipped a beat. Like nothing happened overnight. Nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know, it's crazy. So anyways, the only thing that I think, and again, I don't think it's going to happen, Rob. But remember me saying that I think this plays.
Yeah.
This could play here and potentially do this, right? And the only reason I say that is because this is a pretty important bottom down here. We saw how important it was in SPX. But I honestly don't think it happens because, and this is, again, anything can happen, but we lost on the daily again. We lost on the 4 hour too, right? So what makes me think that they could all of a sudden regain down here? I don't think it can happen. I think that would have happened already if they had the juice behind it on the first move up, and they just didn't. So, they had their chance, in my opinion. That was that. So we'll see how that plays out. One other thing I wanted to point out, and I know that, this is looking far down here, this area down here. So those of you guys who really know me, I look at the weekly TPO a lot because I like to understand what the high time frame is doing. We have an untested naked POC down here. And when I put these two composites put these two TPOs together, I still had the exact same 2-week composite POC down here at 47.91. Rob, we've talked about how we like 4,800 area.
Yeah.
So again, this is just more confluence. I'm not saying that that's this particular level that plays, right? But it just gives us more reason to, know that there's support down there. It's absolutely untested. They're coming for that POC at some point, right? And you and I both know that there's no support below us, so why not now?
Right?
So it's really not that far down in the grand scheme of things. Like we said, it was under 10%. 10% is a beautiful correction.
It's a really great correction.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, pull back 10%, buy it again. Let's go. right? So that is pretty much what I got here, Rob, for this particular trade. And I think the 1 hour is pretty clear for everybody. And I'll just pull it back a little bit. But I went over this on the daily time frame. But when you look at this, really here, you can see 49.43 is the trade. You're out above this. If not, it continues to go. And this was your invalidation. It's very simple, right? And then all this is tested, but still could play, right? So you just want to monitor this. And really above this red line, we continue to make the serious move up. This if they had a daily close above 43, I would be seriously look out on the upside, right? And especially 14, this is huge. Like you and I played this short here.
Yeah.
We couldn't get above this, right? So, and then this was the overnight move. I can't remember when that was, but regardless. So you got any thoughts on this? I'm basically done. I mean, my trade's set up. I already know what I want to do. So
No, I really like I was looking at 50-50 as a good like line in the sand. If things go up any
for
further,
sure.
we're above that.
Yeah.
Obviously look for where the dailies close. I was a little worried that, after we've come down this far, we might get some buy the dip people to send us back up. But I honestly feel like things are starting, like you're getting the CTAs and others that are, starting to push the trend and help it down a little bit more. And depending on earnings this week, that'll really dictate the.
And before I want you to go over that. And before I do, this is the last thing that I forgot to throw in here. So Rob has been so gracious to give me all the good tools on Sierra charts. And this is one of the things that he's given me that's really, been kind of fun to watch. And, what's interesting is the VWAP and the first standard deviation of VWAP, we talked about in last week's, how it works as a bell curve. If you didn't, understand, or if you didn't watch it, definitely watch it if you don't understand this concept. But, right here, you could see that we rode the first standard deviation of VWAP all the way up. And as Rob taught me, which is a great way to look at it, if we're above this thing's trending. Don't fade this thing, right? So it wasn't until here we got sucked into the cloud. So the first target was POC, and we played it. We played it good. Remember, 50.
That's right.
50-50 played nice, right? It played really nice. But just like anything, is price discovery taking us back down to the other end of value? And if it is, that kind of puts us back in our little pocket down there. Right?
That's what I was looking at. It's similar area, and this is that. See that area at 48.40 to 48?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, that's a low volume node where we could come all the way down even there.
I see that,
which is close to the prior high at 48.40.
Well, we're looking for 48.30s, 48.13s. Let's just call it 4,800 anyway, right? So somewhere in here, we're expecting some kind of love. And to be frank, when you think about volume profile, and this, right? They're going to want to fill this in. So where's the support at? The support's right there.
Yeah.
Right. So we're looking at about 40.25-ish anyway. Like you can, this is, how this works. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
We're getting acceptance, in that cloud, which we've now passed through VWAP. So it is,
we're moving
more
down.
Than likely we're going to go the other side of value.
I agree completely.
One side of value, the next.
And here's the 100-day SMA. We sliced through the 50, we sliced through the 20. We were riding the 20, but now we're on the other side. So we're starting to get on the other side. But again, we have this 200-day down here. Actually, that's in a different spot. Let's see here. Oh no, that's the same spot, 4703 as on my other chart. Okay, so hopefully by the time we move down here, this thing will be up to 4,800. We'll see. I have no idea how fast it'll move, but I'm certainly keeping an eye on it. So,
yeah, I've noticed the average rotation size that we're getting intraday has been expanding, and obviously our average ATR has been expanding. And you've seen the VIX,
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. We were joking around about it last week, but look at this. So Rob and I track the 5 to 10 day moving average, and this is how we keep a good eye on how far the market could potentially move for the day. So if the market's only moved 30 points and we have an average of 40 points, we know that we could probably move another 10 points today. So we're looking to hold that runner a little longer or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, the 10-day average right now is 77 points, almost 78. And, last week we moved 94. But Rob, this is unprecedented volatility, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
summer
Short of
trade.
like a COVID thing, this is crazy volatility that's going on
It
right now.
is, yeah. This is like Trump tweets going on over here,
That's
like
right.
yeah, seriously, those are good times. But this kind of range is unheard of, especially for in the ES, especially for summertime. Like summertime trading is usually terribly slow. So this is these has been some good opportunities to capitalize on for sure. Yeah. So that's all I got to say about this trade. I just want to make sure everybody stays on the right side, and it's a pretty easy invalidation here, people. I mean, I showed you. Even Rob was like, this is the line in the sand, 50-50 on ES. Just put it on your chart. If you get above it, we're probably going to move up. We're below it, we're probably going to go down 200 points.
Yeah. And we're on the short side right now. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Go down further.
So I'm going to turn this. Why don't you talk about earnings? I'm going to kick back. So what do you got over here?
All right. So next week we've got earnings, and I've got this great graphic done by the guys at Earning Whisperer. And what it is showing sort of like the number of earnings that are being reported by week. And the next 2 weeks are the just major push in earnings. So starting next week and week after that, with a lot of these things coming out of financials and industrials for next week.
It's cool the way they got it broke down by sector.
Yeah, I really like that. And then
it's really like only those 2 weeks are just like
the next 2 weeks are the ones that really, really matter.
Yeah, it's cool.
And here we've got a breakdown of the earnings by day next week, and the real big ones that I'll be looking out for is on Thursday, where we've got Microsoft, Alphabet, and Intel. So these could be things that are high in the AI space that we've seen some slowdown, specifically with NVIDIA last week and Supermicro. Like we've really been pulling down the NASDAQ, as well as sort of been the catalyst for the S&P to sort of roll over. So I think Thursday will be a really big day for that. Monday, I don't see too much. Tuesday, we've got Visa and GM and Tesla. Tesla has been sort of losing its luster, so this will also be a big thing for them, since they're now part of the S&P, and see what kind of impact that has.
Yeah, Rob, you know what I like too? I like UPS. The reason I say UPS is because it's a good gauge on shipping and as far as what consumers are doing. So I've always kind of kept a track of UPS and FedEx personally. It's personal, like the small indicator of what's kind of happening in the consumer side. So
yeah, and then Wednesday actually might be a bit of a positive day for a lot of folks because of what's been going on in the Middle East. You've got Boeing and General Dynamics and some of the big names there that might actually report some pretty positive earnings. And on the flip side,
Chipotle.
Yeah. We're making it happen. And we also have Meta on Wednesday, which is interesting because they're going to be reporting just before Microsoft and Intel and others on Thursday. So that's
speaking of Meta. Did you see that thing about the new AI they released?
Yes, I haven't looked at it closely, but I saw that they're really, really leaning on their new AI platform pretty hard.
So I went to Meta AI. Actually, we could do it now, or you can do it. It's kind of, since you haven't done it yet, it's kind of fun. I went there and it has like, all these different things. But what was cool was I actually wanted to make a thumbnail for something that we were going to do, and as I was typing in it, the picture literally was changing. It was really kind of neat because it knew, like, I would say draw this, and then draw a man, and then it would immediately pick what kind of man it wanted. But it would do it just like you wanted. Like you could ask it to paint or whatever. See right down there. See, ask Meta anything. Just tell it to draw New York City or something. I don't know. Like, all right, here we go. All right, guys. So we had to cut out like a shit ton of time because neither of us are logged into Facebook. Neither of us really use it. And so even just to play around with it, they want you to log in and basically track everything you're doing. Right. So this is the new AI, but like, so, it's kind of cool. So I told it to draw NYC and it just spit out 3 different images. But look, it still can't spell taxi right? Tax.
I like it's sort of like almost looks like Chinese lettering on that building above it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And I
Sort
don't
of.
know.
It's like
That's a
not quite what that is. Yeah.
non-car is pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Like, let's just try one more thing. Like,
Oh, you can animate it too.
oh, can you? Oh, you're right. Let's try it. Hang on. Let's try animate. Let's see what happens. This is all new for me too. I was just looking at it on my phone. Oh, there. Wow, that's cool. Looks like one of your iPhones where it takes like the 2-second picture or whatever.
Hmm.
All right, so let's see. Let's just do draw stock market. Strange, but you get the idea. So I don't know. I haven't asked it to do anything else. Like I was all about the images. ChatGPT is actually fairly good, but it also can't spell. So if you ever wanted to spell anything, it just can't. I mean, it can sometimes, but it's better than this. But yeah, for whatever reason, AI has a hard time putting full words into images.
I think as they get better in this, I think there are going to be some industries that are pretty heavily disrupted, like the people who do stock photos and things like that. Like, why would you have a
Right.
subscription when you can just crank out what you want a little bit more specifically and not have some dude from Uzbekistan look like a
Agreed.
doctor?
Yeah, absolutely. You talking about like Shutterstock type
Hmm.
situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like here, like we draw me an alien. Okay, cool. Like that's kind of neat, right? And yeah. So, anyways, this is the new Meta AI. It's kind of fun. Play with it on when you got your own time or whatever. But yeah, I just thought it was different. He's apparently got a lot of other stuff going on. So this is actually built into the top of WhatsApp and also Instagram. I saw it on Instagram. I had to go look see. I was like, okay, let's see. And then he says it's in Facebook, and then obviously he has his own site called Meta AI that you can go to specifically to talk to this. But my girl likes Instagram, and so we used it to look up. Like a tortilla recipe or something, Mexican tortilla soup recipe, whatever. So it was interesting. I'll just leave it at that. So, like all this stuff, it still needs some help. But he claims that he's taking everything from Google and Bing and incorporating it all into his, plus all the data he gets from Instagram and and Facebook, and so this is supposed to be like his new. It's supposed to be the shit, basically. So I don't know if it is or not. Right now, I use ChatGPT-4 to help me write a lot. It makes me sound smart. So, but I don't know how his language model is, but it's supposed to be like, I don't know, 4 times as large or something crazy. I don't know. But anyways, so that's what I got here. So I'm gonna go back to you, Rob, here in this.
Go back to me. Oh, yeah.
There you go. So that was
So,
it.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward more to the end of the week to just see where everyone's at in terms of the earnings from those big players. So
Well,
yeah, really curious.
you said there was no real news this week, right? I mean, what?
There isn't. There's some productivity news, and there is. We have PCE, which will be price consumer,
Right.
U.S. So that will be a big one for April 26th,
Okay.
and April 25th we've got GDP numbers quarter over quarter, and that ties into jobless claims as well. But other than that, it's a pretty mellow week.
Well, I would guess after we have this move down, if we actually get down to 4,800 like we think, my guess is this is pure speculation, but at the rate in which we've been coming down, we'll probably sit down there for a minute and accept some value.
I think we would accept value and not like V bottom off of
Yeah.
it like we did on Friday evening.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're going to hang that down there and digest this move.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually way healthier than the V bottom action, because at least we know, like, okay, this area is legitimate, it's going to hold. And more than likely, depending on the length of the time we sit down there, they can make a whole nother layer of support, So, we'll see how that plays out, obviously. So, Rob, I'm going to talk about something that's really kind of interesting to me. And really, it's been in the news a lot. And then we'll, it's been in the news a lot. And I think it's important. Everybody's kind of got their eye on Bitcoin. A lot of people in our room, trade it. You're starting to dibble and dabble, and it's become pretty much accepted mainstream. But we've got this huge event that everybody's talking about, which is the Bitcoin halving. And I'm not going to dwell on this and whatever, but essentially what a Bitcoin halving is Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy who made this, essentially set it up so that it's a deflationary ordeal where, every so many block cycles, which essentially means every so many blocks that get mined,
Hmm.
the output rate of the miners reduces by half. So when we first started, like a long time ago in 2012, like every time these guys would get a block reward, it would be like 100 coins. And that's a shit ton if you think about where we're at now. But the price of Bitcoin at that time was 30 cents, right? So as Bitcoin has started to mature and grow in value, so is the halvings. And this is a major halving event, which is interesting because this one is actually way different to me, in my personal opinion, than any other halving that we've had before. And I'll explain to you why. So, the halving that are, so we are all the way down to, I think it's six right now. The current cycle, the current block reward is 6 Bitcoin per reward. And I know it's 6 and some change, or maybe that's not, probably you can look it up while I'm
Hmm.
talking. So I'm not talking out of my mouth, or talking on my side of my mouth.
Yeah.
But so right now, the halving event that just took place reduced the miner's reward down to like 3.25. So now every time they mine, they get less and less and less. And what that does is essentially means that as Bitcoin starts, am I right, Rob? Are those numbers right?
Yeah. Here, I'll just send this to you so you can actually just say
All
it
right.
if you want.
Well, it's just say what it is. It's fine.
Okay. So on April 19th, 2024, the block reward for Bitcoin miners was reduced by half. So previously they were getting 6.25, 6.25 Bitcoin, and now it's 3.125. So it's three
Right.
and an eighth.
Right. So they're basically getting paid a lot less for doing the same amount of work. So, but the thing is it's all compensated in the fees. And the way that, they've kind of worked out the algorithm, they said, well, you don't need to get paid as much if there's now this many more coins in circulation, right? So it's like it went from getting paid more because the network wasn't as active to getting paid less, on the reward side because, many more people are starting to use it. It's a very efficient and very cool system. But the reason why this has been a little different this cycle, in my opinion, again, so here's what I think is, people need to understand. Every time there's a halving, generally 2 weeks before halving, there's a sell off. And sometimes it lasts up to 2 months after the halving. And so, they say a lot of it's done because miners are trying to, put money together because, their rewards are less. And so, but I don't necessarily know if that's true. I don't really understand the tokenomics behind the sell off pre-halving, but it's irrelevant at this point. The point I'm trying to drive home here is that, the Bitcoin halving is different this time. And the reason that I say that is because most of the coins are mined already. Out of the 21 million coins out there, I think there's only 19 million of it been mined. And so, the majority of the rewards are there. And I think the next Bitcoin halving, I don't even remember when it is, but I mean, there's not much more left, right? So almost everything is either in circulation or it's lost in wallets that people mined a long time ago. I'm sure you've heard stories about the guy that lost his hard drive in the landfill and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, right? So those coins are gone, and I think it's like 3 million coins or something have been lost over the years and can never be found again, which again reduces the supply, which is great, whatever. But so my thing is like, when the halving took place in 2020, it was a much bigger deal because there was way more coins available. And like you had all these miners jump on it, like Marathon and all these like big commercial miners that went IPO'd and stuff. And they mine the shit out of this stuff. I mean, and so we've really reduced the supply to the point where I don't know if the halving is, I don't know. I just don't know if it's as big of a deal as it should be anymore. And I understand that every time we have a halving, the price doubles basically. Like if you look at a chart or you look at like there's some tweets out there that said the halving at this date, the halving at this date. And it was like, it kind of goes up. It's like $200 and then it's like $4,000. And then it's like, I wish I could find it, but regardless, that every time there's a halving, the price essentially spikes after it drops. Okay. My only issue with it this time is, and again, I'm super Bitcoin maxi. I think we're going up. Don't get me wrong. I do think we can come down before we go up. But with that being said, the only reason why I think this cycle is a little different is because most of the coins have been mined. So I don't know how it's going to affect this whole thing, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I found a chart for you. Let me look.
Go ahead, share it up. So Rob found a halving schedule chart, and it only goes to 2024, and we're a little bit into 2024 already, but it actually has the accurate price on here. I think aren't we at 64,000 or something like that? We're close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, no, this is right. This is current.
This is current.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you can see here at the halving that each one of these yellow lines is a halving, and I wish I could zoom this in. Oh, I can. Nice. You're right, Rob. Jeez Louise. Okay. So in 2013, the first halving really didn't affect the price too much. But as over here, when this is kind of when I started getting into crypto, this was 2016. You could see after this halving, we had a pretty sharp sell-off. Actually, they sold down to like, look at that, $478. Where was I at? That is crazy. I was so like into Litecoin and Ethereum because it was like pennies versus, Bitcoin like $500. That's too expensive.
I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Stupid. Whatever.
That's why I quit trading Bitcoin after I had $7 of slippage when I bought it for $300.
Oh my God, doesn't that make sense?
And I was like, this is a scam. I'm done.
So this thing went from 600 to 480 before the halving, and then launched at like, what is this, 18 grand? This was the 2020 high up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had another halving. Let's go look. So we had another halving, and it was at 10,000, and it went all the way to 8,000. So it was a 20% correction on that halving, and then it went crazy again, and then went up to 68,000, right? So this was the most recent, all-time high from 2021. So now we're having another halving here, right? And so, Bitcoin's only down 12% so far from this halving. So if we pull back a little bit, I mean, it's no big deal, but it kind of gives you an idea, just looking at this chart, how many times, since the halving, like how much higher we are every single time, even though that it produces a small little pullback. So, Rob, you asked me, like, does that mean the price is going to get cut in half and this and that and the other? It's like, no, by no means. It doesn't affect traders or holders or whatever. The halving is really a mechanism that is, affects the miners.
And
right?
It looks like it happens every so many blocks, which roughly correlates to every 4 years. And so that's,
I think they said it like by the year 2140, or I don't even remember what it is, but it's a long way out that all the halvings will be over and all the coins will be mined supposedly. And that's when it's all finally said and done. And then the miners only get paid from network fees. Okay. So, but again, this is like, we're talking 100+ years out is what they suggest. But this is probably one of the most important ones because, depending on, right, and everything in scale, right? If Bitcoin goes to 250 grand from here versus 64, then these miners are going to be happy with the 3 coin reward, right? Like right now, a 6 coin reward is probably fairly equal to what the 3 coin reward would be. You know what I mean? Or even more if we were, exponentially higher.
Right.
So that's kind of the philosophy behind it. So thank you for having this chart. So I'm going to make this quick and sweet on Bitcoin. But I think this thing can come down a little bit. And we've talked about this in the room. We have some major levels that we're watching, really inflection points. And I'm just going to take this from the top down, and I'll be real quick about it because this is really a long-term, high-term trade. But we have this really significant weekly from this all-time high over in 2021. And really, the one that I'm more concerned about is the one in April. April actually technically hasn't been tested yet. And so being above or below this level is going to be really, really, really important for us. You can see they've missed this level a couple times.
Yeah.
So, I know it doesn't look like much, but that's a weekly level. And so, they've missed this by, it's probably $3 grand at this point. Let's look. No, they missed it by, what is that? $1,500?
$1,500.
Yeah. That's still a lot. That's not a test. Right. Yeah. So, with that being said, I am like uber keeping eye on this level down here because this would actually wick the leg that took us to the high. Okay. And this could play and send us all the way back up, but we haven't played it yet. So I'm personally going to be taking a risk here of myself because I like this short setup here. So we have this short, this high, this support here at the highs, right? And so far we've popped up, we made a new high, and we couldn't make a new high yet. Okay, and they're losing on the daily support, as you can see. This is what we need to gain above. They came down here, they closed below.
And they closed below that. Yeah.
Worked that leg up. right? They've tried to walk up, and then what do? They just played what we lost at the highs, and now we've made another new low, but we still haven't poked this low yet. Okay, so really what I'm looking at for me personally is I'm looking to short this 69 to 70,000 spot, and this is my first target, right? 58,790, because it might play. Honestly, I don't know. It could hold because this is a nice little move here. Like, let's just figure this out. Let's just say boom. That's a 15% move, 16% move. That's pretty healthy.
That's
right.
good.
So,
Yeah.
and then they could still hold this area, and this could play, and this could go. So I'm not going to pretend that this level's not here. There's a lot of people that are really focusing lower, and I am too. I'm not going to lie, right? But this level has to hold. So it's going to be really important whether we're above or below, basically, 58,750. That's the big level.
That's
but I do think this certainly has some serious short potential, because as of right now, we're still making lower lows, and we can't get above the highest high. We just smacked it, made a new low. So in progression right now, this is the highest untested, and I would like to play this down to here. And then if it goes lower, fantastic. And there's another trade setup, and I'm actually not going to be trading the spot. I like the future side of it, mainly because we trade futures, and it's easy for me to do it all in one account. If I have all these other accounts open, it's just too much stress for me. So right now we have the same exact level on the Bitcoin futures up here. Actually, let me show you on the weekly. It's the same exact top-down weekly spot, exact same one, right? So I still like it. I like it a lot, right? So when I go down the 4-hour for you, and this white line is just my alarm, but this is this spot right here. And this is a great weekly area, right? Weekly, daily. This is the highest untested. Above 72.1, I'm pretty much invalidated. So, this wasn't a perfect test. They didn't really even touch it. But in my opinion, if we were to get up here and really above this trade's done. So, I have a small risk on this trade for a pretty large reward. I'm going to start right here. Let's just say I stop out right here. So I've got a $3,000 risk in Bitcoin. I'm not gonna put a full size Bitcoin on it. Might do half, right? So I have a $1,500 risk, or 4%, basically, to turn around and do it the other way, right? So, if we let me just go from here and just I don't know exactly where that monthly is down here, because it's not on the CME one. But let's just say it's new lows. Okay, so it's a 10,000
double low.
Yeah, exactly. We know it's below this wick, right? So, and actually, this thing already made below the wick. So I'm just going to say new lows, because really spot is really what's important here. But again, so we know that it's basically under this wick somewhere. So again, it's a $10,000 move. So I'm going to risk $1,500, and I go cut that in half. I'm trading half of Bitcoin to make 5,000. Okay, so I think this is a really good trade setup. I think the risk to rewards there. I don't see any reason not to take it. I'm long crypto on the other side, on the spot side. So for me, it's more of just a hedge. I mean, you could even call it a hedge in a sense. But I think the setup's there. I think it's worth taking. And can we come lower? Of course. Will we? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of money betting against Bitcoin. So, for those of you who watching this that know me, Stinky, Piper, all them guys, they know me. I've lost a lot of money short in Bitcoin. And, there's times that I just like, this thing's so done, and it just doesn't stop. So I'm super cautious about getting short Bitcoin all the time. It's obviously much easier to play the long side sometimes, but go ahead, Rob.
It's also correlation with the S&P, and sort of like flows with that same sort of.
It does. It's a high risk asset, right? So it's like, if we really bottom out on S&P, and and Bitcoin decides to hold that 58.7 area, then this thing could really kind of zoom. So, we'll see. And this is, this looks like they're accepting value up here for now, but again, this could be, they could dip down to find liquidity, but we don't really know. I can only just play the chart. So
that's right.
That's it. So that's my whole Bitcoin thesis, bro.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trade the chart.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. It was good.
Thank you. I enjoyed
Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this week's action, and then we'll reconvene. And I'm gonna need a nap. I feel a nap. coming on.
I feel a nap coming on.
Yeah, that's right. I consider myself. So, all right, brother, be good.
Thank you.
Talk to
That's
you.
great.
Cheers.